Hello and welcome to today's science lesson. So first of all, guys, can we all turn to wave and say a big hello to our friends on camera? Hello. Hello. And we'll begin by doing our meditation sequence. So I will sit down, take 2 fingers, find our heart center, left hand on our laps, and close our eyes. When you're ready, guys, you can open your eyes and come back to the room. Next, we'll do our stretch sequence. So let's stand up and push in our chairs. And we'll begin by stretching up high to the sky. High as we can. And then, let's go down low. Touch our toes. Let's go back up high one more time. And this time, can we go tippy toe high? And while we're there, let's have a wave side to side. And then back down, touch our toes again. And now hands on hips. Wiggle side to side. Stop. Another wiggle side to side. Stop. Forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, and stop. And now, let's go round and round. Round and round. And stop. Now we'll go back the other way. Give our spines a nice stretch the other way. And stop. And now let's shake it out, guys. Arms and legs, we can shake it out. Shake it out. And to finish, we will do 5 claps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent, guys. Have a seat. Now, in our previous science lesson, we began learning about a particular type of animal. Now, what we were doing was learning how to group animals into 2 different categories. And the first category we learnt about was an animal, or the group of animals, that don't have this. Yes, well done, guys. Invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals that do not have a backbone. Yes, out of all of the animals on the planet Earth, we can put them into 2 categories. Animals that have a backbone and animals that do not. And the animals that do not have a backbone are called, as you guys have already rightly said, invertebrates. Yes, so let's spell that word on the board together. I-N-V-E-R-T-E-B-R-A-T-E-S. V E R T E B R A T E S. Invertebrates. Yes, quite a strange name for animals that you don't often remember. So if you see the word invertebrates, just remember what it means. No backbone. Invertebrates are animals that do not have a backbone. So altogether, guys, invertebrates, no backbone. For example, humans, we're not invertebrates. We have a backbone. So we can't belong to this group of animals. But thinking back to previous lessons, who can tell me some types of animals that are invertebrates? Yes, well done. A jellyfish. A jellyfish is a type of animal with no backbone. So we can call a jellyfish an invertebrate. How do we spell jellyfish, guys? J-E-L-L-Y. F-I-S-H. Excellent. Jellyfish. Yes. And then I heard starfish. Okay? Jellyfish and starfish. S-T-A-R-F-I-S-H. You'll find that lots of these animals, invertebrates, live in the water, such as the first two examples we have here. Jellyfish and starfish. Now I heard another animal too. Yes, a bigger animal that looks a bit like a jellyfish and has tentacles too, but is bigger. And that animal is? Octopus. How do we spell octopus, guys? C-T-O-P-U-S. Octopus. Okay, so any more examples? Snail. Yes, a snail is the type of animal that is a mollusk. And a mollusk is a type of invertebrate. What do they have on their backs, guys? What do snails have? A big shell. And that's to protect their bodies because they have no backbone. So we can say snails too. S-N-A-I-L. So some great examples so far. Jellyfish, starfish, octopus, snail. Any more? Worm, yes. There was different types of worms, but we can group them all into the one word. The slimy, long creatures, they can live in water, but they can also live outside. A worm. Now, who can tell me what type of animal? Yes, the spider with 8 legs that crawls around is a spider. S-P-I-D-E-R. Snail, worm, spider. Notice all of these animals are quite different. A spider doesn't look like an octopus. A snail doesn't look like a starfish, but they all belong to the one group of animals, invertebrates, because they all share the one common factor, no backbone. And any more example, guys? Who remembers from the last lesson the dangerous animal with the claws? A crab, yes, crab too. We have crab, C-R-A-B. But the animal I was thinking of has claws, but then also has a tail that can sting you. Remember beginning scorpion. Yes, well remembered. We have scorpion. S-C-O-R-P-I-O-N. Some brilliant examples of invertebrates, so well remembered from the last lesson. Let's say them all together one more time. Jellyfish, Starfish, octopus, snail, worm, spider, crab, and scorpion. 8 different animals that all belong to the one category, invertebrates. So that was very well remembered, guys. Well done. And what we're going to do in today's lesson is we're going to remain looking at invertebrates. And thinking back to the last lesson, we know that there are also 8 different kinds of invertebrates. They can be grouped into 8 different categories based on their physical characteristics. So we're going to take another look at a PowerPoint presentation for our students to further understand the different types of invertebrates, which we can call subcategories, because they've already been categorized once as invertebrates and then subcategorized 8 further times into different groups. So let's turn to look at the TV screen, guys, and we'll have a look now. So let's take a look at our second PowerPoint presentation about the types of animals that we can classify as invertebrates. Yes, and remember that word means no backbone. These are the group of animals that don't have a backbone. And you can see some of the different types here. Here we have crab or lobster. Yes, worm. How about this one? Starfish. Yes, it looks like a star. It's a starfish. What about this animal, guys? You see it flying in the air sometimes. Butterfly. This one? Not quite an octopus, similar, but jellyfish, yes. Similar to an octopus because it has the tentacles, but not as big. This is a jellyfish. Then we have another worm, a clam, and this one, sponge. Yes, a sea sponge. All of these are different living animals, and they all have no backbone. So that means they are invertebrates. Animals are classified based on if they have a backbone or not in their bodies. Yes. For example, here, does anybody know what animal this skeleton is of? Horse, yes. Is a horse an invertebrate? No. Correct. Because if we look closely at the horse skeleton, we can see something here. We can see the backbone. This is the backbone of the horse here. Well, here we have jellyfish. Now, can anybody see the backbone of the jellyfish? No. That's because jellyfish don't have one. So jellyfish are invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals that do not have a backbone. Like this animal here. Starfish, yes. How do you know it's a starfish? It looks like a star, yes. And where does the starfish live? In the sea or the water, yes. And you can see how it's dead soft and floppy, no backbone. Invertebrates can be classified into 8 smaller groups. Yes, we first began to look at this in the last lesson, but we're going to do a little more work today because some of these words are hard to understand. So let's take a look. Sponges are invertebrates that have hollow tubes with many pores. Yes, look in this picture here. These are what we know as sponges or sea sponges because they live in the sea. Now here you see the hole. This is what we mean by the hollow tube. You can go inside. In fact, some fish live inside the sea sponges. And on the sides are many pores. Can you believe this sea sponge is alive? It's a living thing. Does it have a backbone? No. So therefore, it's an invertebrate. Synod Ariens are invertebrates that have tentacles to sting and catch food. Yes, you see here all of these long pieces of the Synod Arien here. These are tentacles. And what they do is, as fish and other small animals go past, they will reach out and they will grab. And then here, they will eat them. Do they have a backbone? No backbone. So they are invertebrates. Yes. Annelids. Now these are the animals that have little ring-type bodies that can be pulled apart. Invertebrates whose bodies are made up of little parts that look like rings. Yes, look a bit like a worm, but not quite a worm, because you see all these parts here. We could pull them apart. They could be put into hundreds of different parts. Each part of the annelid can be taken apart. And then you see something else. Each part has two legs. You see the legs on either side. Here is the head, and this is the tail. And then worms. Yes, this one, roundworms. Now notice the worms just have one long slimy body. No different parts here. We can't pull the worms apart. They'll break and die. The worm is just one long slimy body. And roundworms are invertebrates that have long, thin, slimy bodies. Yes. And then there was another type of worm too. Not a roundworm. Flatworms are invertebrates that sometimes live in the bodies of other animals. Can you believe that? A flatworm will sometimes go in the body of another animal and live there and feed on the food that the other animal eats. And the other thing about flatworms, they're usually quite pretty. What colours can you see here? Purple, red, yellow, bits of pink, yeah. Pretty? Yes. Do you think it looks nice? Yes. I think so. Even though it's a worm, it looks pretty with the nice colours. Does it have a backbone? No. It's an invertebrate. And then mollusks are invertebrates that usually have shells to protect their bodies. Yes. In the previous lesson, when we looked at mollusks, we seen the picture of the snail. This is a different type of mollusk called a clam. And the clam will open and shut to protect its body. You see the inside here, and then the outside is harder, so that other animals cannot attack or eat. They will open and close. Arthropods are the largest group of animals on Earth, with over 1 million different kinds. Can you believe? Arthropods, there's over 1 million different kinds. What type can you see in the picture here, guys? Spider, yes. Spider is a type of arthropod. Does it have a backbone? No. Which makes them the largest group of invertebrates there are, and also the largest group of species on the planet. And then finally, echinoderms. Now, what type of echinoderm can you see in the picture? Starfish. How many legs or how many tentacles? 5. It's like a 5-pointed star. And what colors can you see? And yes. Does it have a backbone? No. That's why we call it an invertebrate. Echinoderms are invertebrates that have radially symmetrical bodies. Now what that means is if we took a knife here and we cut down the middle of the starfish, it would look exactly the same on both sides. It would be symmetrical. And it's a type of invertebrate that also lives in the sea. And that's our 8 different types, guys. Any questions? Okay, very well done. Welcome back to class. We hope your students enjoyed the PowerPoint presentation about the different types of invertebrates that we can further classify in different subgroups. And what we've got coming up is a flashcards exercise for our students to practice the spelling of each of the different subgroups of invertebrates. Because the vocabulary is quite hard, so it'll be a good thing for our students to practice forming the words. But first of all, guys, we've got our stretch sequence. So let's stand up and push in our chairs. And for this sequence, I think we'll have a game of teacher says. So listen carefully. If teacher says, we can do. If teacher doesn't say, don't do. So, teacher says, hands on head. Teacher says, hands on hips. Touch your knees. Teacher says, arms in the air. Arms down. Teacher says, arms down. Teacher says, turn around. Teacher says, stand straight. Teacher says, turn the other way. Okay. Teacher says, jogging on the spot. Stop. Teacher says, jog quickly. Teacher says, stop. Arms in the air. Arms down. Teacher says, arms down. Teacher says, hands on head. Teacher says, one hand on stomach. Teacher says, pat your head. Teacher says, rub your stomach. Teacher says, stop. Teacher says, down into a little ball. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Teacher says, jump. Excellent, guys. And teacher says, please sit down. And teacher says, we're now going to have a flashcards exercise for our students to practice forming the words of the different types of invertebrates by themselves. But the vocabulary, some of them is quite difficult. So it will definitely be a good idea if we write the words on the board first. Then when we give our students the letters all mixed up, they can work by themselves to correctly form the words spelled correctly. So first of all, guys, we need our 8 different types of invertebrates. First one, sponges. Okay, so sponges is spelled S-P-O-N-G-E-S. Okay, So that's one type of invertebrate. If you get the letters that make the word sponge, that's how you have to put them together. Now the next one, very hard to spell. Synod Ariens. Okay. Synod Ariens begins with a C, but then N. Yes. N-I-D-A-R-I-A-N-S. Synod Ariens. Okay, so the students, when you get this one, this is how you have to spell it correctly, like putting the letters. Remember, C-N, which is quite a strange spelling. And then we have annelids. Yes, annelids begins A, N, N, E, and then L, I, D, S. Annelids are the ones that look a little bit like a worm, but their bodies can be pulled apart. And then we're onto the worms. First of all, we'll have the long, slimy ones. These were called roundworms. R-O-U-N-D. Round. And then worms. W-O-R-M-S. Okay, so that's our first 4 different types of invertebrates. Sponges. Synod Ariens. Annelids. Roundworms. And next came the worms that weren't round. What were they? They were flat. Flatworms, yes. F-L-W-O-R-M-S. Flatworms. And then the type of invertebrates that have the shells, like a snail or a clam, they're known as mollusks. M-O-L-L-U-S-K-S. Mollusks. And then the spiders, arthropods. Yes, these are the largest group of animals on the planet. Over 1 million different types. Arthropods, A-R-T-H-R-O-P-O-D-S. Arthropods. And then the final type, and possibly the most difficult to spell, Echinoderms. E-H-I-N-O-D-E-R-M-S. So guys, we've got 8 different types of our invertebrates. Sponges, Synod Ariens, annelids, roundworms, flatworms, mollusks, arthropods, echinoderms. So teachers, what you'll need to do in your classrooms, once you've written a vocabulary on the board, you'll then need to print out enough words for each of the students in your class. And each word you need to cut into individual letters, jumble them up. Then when I say go, my students are going to try and discover what word they have and then put it together correctly. Once our students think they're correct, raise their hands, I will go and check. And then they can practice speaking. And it just so happens we have 8 different types, and today I have 8 students. So that works out great. But in your class, if you have more students, just print out more words. And what I'll do now, I'll give my students each a word. So word number 1 for lackow, but don't touch yet. Word number 2, bang bon. No touching yet, guys. Word number 3 for plow.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Word number 4 for down. Nadia, for you. Pat?
Thank you.
And Pak Bung. Okay, so now each of my students have a word. Each one of the words will spell the words that are on the board, the different types of invertebrates. But which one? That's for our students to work out. And when you're ready, guys, raise your hands. This time you work together by yourselves, not in teams. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! So let's see what type of invertebrate you have on your desk. Excellent, Latgau. So Latgau has sponges. Prel? Flatworms. Excellent. Nadia? Roundworms. Brilliant. Okay. Pat? Mollusks. Dan? This is the hard one. Synod Ariens. Bangbon? Echinoderms. Excellent. Okay, everybody's done brilliant, guys. So what we can do now, after everybody's practiced speaking, collect your letters and be careful, pass them to your friends on your left. And then, when I say go, we can practice doing the words again. Everyone pass the letters to their friends on the left. Okay, but don't begin yet, guys. Wait until everybody's ready, and then we'll play again. Okay, so not yet, just wait for everybody to be ready. So teachers, what you can do now, you can pause the video in your class, and you can do the same activity with your students. And remember, each time that your students correctly get them, pass to their friends on the left, and we can do a new round. So play on in your classroom for around the next 10 to 12 minutes. And we're going to play on again here. Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go! We can spell this time, guys. And when you're ready, raise your hand. Excellent, bang pon. Sponges. Brilliant. Flatworms, well done, down. Arthropods, excellent, Latgau. Mollusks, well done, Pak Bung. Prel? Echinoderms, well done. Nadia? Annelids. Annelids. This one is hard. Yes. Ready, Chew? This is the one that's hard to say. Synod Ariens. Well done. And then we're nearly there. So now R-O-U-N-D. Roundworms. Excellent, guys. Well done. So once again, pass your words to your friends on your left. Pak Bung, I'll take yours and pass to Latgau. Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Sponges, well done, Prel. Latgau, you have mollusks. Arthropods. Echinoderms, well done. Roundworms, well done. Pak Bung. Pat? Annelids. Yes. Well done, Nadia. Synod Ariens. And then Chew has a type of worm, not the roundworms. Who has the roundworms? Pat. Chew has flat worms. Okay, excellent, guys. So let's play one more round. Okay, roundworms, flatworms. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, bang bang. Mollusks. Sponges, well done, Dan. Annelids, well done. Arthropods, well done, Prel. Roundworms, well done, Lackow. And then we've got flatworms, yes. Excellent, Nadia. Flatworms. And you? Echinoderms. Echinoderms. Excellent. Shall we do one more round? Okay, let's pass to your friends to the left. Ready? Let go. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go again. Excellent, Flo. Mollusks. Arthropods. Annelids. Roundworms. Sponges. Well done, Hugh. So we're nearly there, yes. Well done, Packbone. Synod Ariens. Nadia's nearly there with Echinoderms. Can you say? Echinoderms. Well done, Nadia. And Pat? Flatworms. W. Perfect. Flatworms. Guys, that was a brilliant exercise. Very well done and very well spoken too. And now it's time for our worksheet part of the lesson. So teachers, make sure each student in your class gets their own worksheet. And what we need to do now is we need to help our students to complete the sentences with the correct word, which is the groups of invertebrates that we've learned about, but match them to their correct sentences, thinking back to the PowerPoint presentation. So what our students must do is read each sentence and discover which is the missing word and put it from the vocabulary box and write it in the space provided. But what's the first thing to do, guys? Write our names on top. And give our students around 12 minutes for this activity and help them with anything they need. It might be a good idea to refer back to the PowerPoint presentation if our students can't figure out which goes where. So Packbone, this one's for you. Pat, for you. You're welcome. Nadia, here's yours. You're welcome. Chew for you. You're welcome. Down for you. You're welcome. Prel for you. You're welcome. And Packbone for you. Bangpon for you. Lackow. You're welcome. So guys, 8 different types of invertebrates and we have 8 sentences. But can we match the type of invertebrate to the correct sentence? For example, thinking back to the PowerPoint presentation, what have hollow tubes with many pores? Remember, in the sea, the sponges. Sponges, yes. And then thinking of the other type of invertebrates, that if we cut them down the middle, they will look the same. They will have symmetrical bodies. A starfish is a type of this invertebrate. Echinoderms, yes. Remember what we said, if we cut a starfish down the middle, it will look the same both sides. It has radially symmetrical bodies. And then thinking about the largest group of invertebrates, the biggest ones on the planet, like the spiders, arthropods, yes. The group of invertebrates that spiders belong to, arthropods, the biggest group of animals that there is, over 1 million different types. And then who can remember, what type of invertebrate is a snail or a clam, beginning with M? Exactly, mollusks. Mollusks have the shells on their backs to protect them. And then remember the type of invertebrates that have the long, slimy bodies. Flatworm. Sorry, no, you're right. Roundworm. Roundworms have the slimy bodies because the flatworms look different. And then, what type of animal, what type of invertebrate sometimes lives in the bodies of other animals? The flatworm, yes. The roundworm has the long, slimy body, but the flatworm is the type that looks quite pretty with colours and sometimes lives in the bodies of other animals and feeds on their food. And who can remember the type of invertebrates that have the tentacles that sting? Synod Ariens. Yes, well done, guys. Synod Ariens have the tentacles that they use to grab and catch the food. Welcome back to class. We hope your students enjoyed the worksheet activity where they had to match the different types of invertebrates to the correct sentences. My students here all did a brilliant job, and we're going to practice speaking for you one final time. Sponges have hollow tubes with many pores. Echinoderms have radially symmetrical bodies. There are over 1 million different kinds of arthropods, like the spiders. Mollusks usually have shells to protect their bodies, like the snail. Roundworms have long, thin, slimy bodies. Flatworms sometimes live in the bodies of other animals. Synod Ariens have tentacles to sting and catch food. And finally, annelids have bodies made up of little parts that look like rings. Guys, that was brilliant and very well spoken. And that's all we've got time for today. So we hope you've enjoyed the lesson and found it interesting and now understand about invertebrates and the different subgroups of invertebrates that exist. So can we turn to wave and say goodbye, guys? Bye-bye. See you again next time.